Noam Wasserman, what is the #1 problem that can sink a startup?
So the #1 problem is people decisions that founders make that lead down the path to having major problems down the road. This is where 2/3 of the failures within startups are due to decisions about who to involve as co-founders, who to involve as hires, who to involve as investors. And a lot of times founders, because they don't have a roadmap through all of those decisions, they make short-term decisions that then come back to bite them down the road. And so if they're able to go and understand what is that path ahead and be able to avoid those pitfalls, that is the most critical thing for them to avoid.
When should a founder step down and let a seasoned manager in to run the company?
So this is where there's 2 elements of the founder having key self-knowledge. One of them is, what are my skills, what are my motivations, and how do those line up with this road ahead? And to the extent there that they can understand that roadmap, how are things going to change dramatically, the challenges that I'm going to face as a CEO? As I was the technical CEO early on developing the product, there's going to be a radical change as we have a product, we have to sell it, we have to build an organization. Founders who aren't armed for that, don't understand that that's where things are heading, are going to get blindsided by their harming the venture or by their getting fired because they are not the right ones going forward. And so the founders who have the skills and whose motivations line up with it, they would be great to be able to stay as that CEO. But the ones who are able to see down that road and where it is heading, that's where it's a key thing for them to think about. Is there a better person to come and run it?
It sounds like you're describing the Google model. So you had Sergey Brin and Larry Page step aside and let Eric Schmidt be the CEO when it came time to go public. Do you think this is the road that Facebook should take? Because right now, Mark Zuckerberg is staying on as CEO.
So that is where the founder, if he does have some holes, like the Google team had, some of the solutions are bring in a brand new person above you and try to work with them. Zuckerberg took another approach to it. That's try to bolster the team under you, bring in a Sheryl Sandberg, be able to bring in another piece who can be the yin for your yang. To the extent there that starts running into problems where going forward, that very tight-knit team that was really good for when it was a private venture, now as it's heading to IPO, that is another one of those dramatic points at which there are real challenges that the founder and maybe the rest of the team isn't suited for. That's where thinking hard about making sure the team is suited for that next stage is the critical thing. There within the Facebook team, is Zuckerberg's extreme level of control over the board going to lead to the board not pushing back on him, not being that complementary element of saying, Mark, this is where things are headed. You and the team might have to think harder about re-architecting yourselves and thinking about a different solution to it. That's where each of them, between Google and Facebook, bolstering the team, but then at what point do you have to do a more dramatic change within the team?
Finally, what's your view of the latest crop of IPOs? It started with LinkedIn, and then it went to Zynga and Yelp. Do you like them? What are they doing right?
So one of the key things there is that some of those founders, a Reid Hoffman, going and handing over the reins to another CEO who's going to be able to do some things within the company. There are things that these founders sometimes, if they both have the can do it and will do it, that they can lead it forward and they're willing to ditch their prior vision, they're willing to pivot and be able to change things, then those are some of those best IPOs that are having the best of both worlds. The founder who can go and do it, the irreplaceable element that the founder brings to it. But if the founder either can't do it or won't do it, is still attached to the people, the ones that he doesn't want to upgrade, the early idea, that is where you have to think about for this IPO to be successful and to really appeal to the investors who are going to be out there in the public. That's where thinking about how to solve that problem is a tough one for the venture.
This market is
stock tickers market.
Stocks have rallied this year.
We're coming into a Monday where we're going to